From the heart of Wayne County, this is Wayne Goldsboro Television, Goldsboro, North Carolina. Wednesday, it's December 7th, 2016, and this is Wayne Goldsboro Television. I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Pat Garner.
Pat, we're here at, where are we?
We are at the Wayne County Public Library by the Grinch tree.
Is that who that is?
That's who that
the
is.
Grinch. He's a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You know, that's Boris Karloff. No, that's Thurl Ravenswood and Ravenscroft. Have you ever heard of Tony the Tiger from Kellogg's?
Yeah.
They're great. Same guy. He's the same guy that did the Grinch song, You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. And, of course, Boris Karloff was the narrator of that particular piece of television history. Going back, though, to what we're talking about today, December 7th, a date that will live in infamy, which was stated by Mr. Roosevelt, the president, on this day, 1941, when the Japanese government attacked Pearl Harbor. And tonight, here at the Wayne County Public Library on East Ash Street, recognition of the 75th anniversary of the bombing of Pearl Harbor, Jeff Bockert, East Region Supervisor of Historic Sites, will discuss the surprise attack and its impact on the people of Wayne County. If you were here in Wayne County at that time, or you had relatives, aunts, uncles, granddads, grandparents living here at that time, you might have an interest in this particular program and the impact that attack on Pearl Harbor, and which thrusts us into the World War II. You might find that interesting this evening. I'm just about guarantee you will. It's tonight, beginning at 7 o'clock, going until about 8:30. It's about an hour and a half long, right?
That's right.
That'll be in Wheel Auditorium, I guess, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then there's more. Now, tomorrow, Thursday, it's something called Zentangle. Zentangle. Now, the admission to this is cut off, and there's a waiting list, all right? And I have no idea why there would be a waiting list for something called Zentangle.
What is that?
Well, let's find out. It says they're going to be making beautiful Christmas ornaments using the Zentangle method, with local certified Zentangle instructor, Catherine Jacoby, CZT, that is Certified Zentangle Technician, I guess. She is with Tangled Moons. Now, all materials will be provided. It's limited to 10 students, and you need to call to register, but it's too late for that because the class is full. Anyway, that's tonight. Find out when the next one's going to be.
That should be interesting.
You think so?
I think so.
Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
Okay. I notice Grinchy here doesn't have any Christmas ornaments on him. He's a Grinch. You're a Grinch. And he's a mean one, too, Mr. Grinch. Anyway, if you're ever wanting to know how to work with PowerPoint, that's a very powerful program from Microsoft. You're quite good at PowerPoint. And it's a very powerful program and very in-depth. If you want to know more about it, you can find out about it this Saturday at the Wayne County Public Library. This Saturday, the 10th, between 9:30 and 11:30, it's a two-hour class. You can learn terms, you can learn tabs, how to insert pictures, formatting text, inserting transitions, and all that good stuff. And it's fascinating. You need to register for this by calling the Wayne County Public Library at 735-1824, 735-1824, extension 3. Or as they say in Oklahoma, 3. Well, they do. That's how they say it. You know, or Nevada, or Oregon, or North Carolina. Now, what else do we have here? Again, the annual, in fact, this is the 29th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Luncheon. It's going to be taking place City of Goldsboro and Wayne County, inviting everyone to attend at the Goldsboro-Raleigh District Assembly. That's at 214 Hooks River Road. That's just off North George Street. This will be Monday, January 16th, and we mention it now so you can prepare for it. Put it on your calendar and get ready for it. January 16th at noon. Tickets are $15, and you need to RSVP. Respondez, s'il vous plaît. No later than January 9th. 9th, okay? Advertisement within the 2017 souvenir booklet is available if anybody's interested in that. Get Shicole Simpson is the contact person. S. Simpson at goldsboronc.gov. S. Simpson, goldsboronc.gov. I got a better idea. I got her phone number. The number is 919-580-4359. 580-4359. All right, that's good information. What else do we have here? We got a bunch of stuff, haven't we? This is all new, isn't it?
That's all new.
Wow, okay. The Goldsboro Mayor's Youth Council gift wrapping hours will be between December 9th and December 23rd. You can, I guess this is wrapping gifts, isn't it?
It is.
All right, you can have your gifts wrapped by making a donation. That's how much it will cost you. You make a donation, and the first one is this Friday and Saturday and Sunday. On Friday, 4 till 10 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. until 10 p.m., wow. And then Sunday, December 11th, from 1 to 5 p.m.
That's right.
p.m., right? 1 to 5. That's this weekend. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday, 4 p.m. till 10. Saturday, 10 till 10. And then Sunday, 1 to 5 p.m. Now, and then it goes on. There are other times, but this will be inside Berkeley Mall. Thank you for pointing that out. Inside Berkeley Mall, with all proceeds going to the Goldsboro Mayor's Youth Council's Scholarship Fund and Spring Convention. If you want information, you can call the Community Relations Department at 919-580-4359, 4359, okay?
Okay.
All right, do we have anything else there?
Yes, let's remind them about the Pikeville Christmas Parade.
Oh,
Last
yeah.
weekend we had 3 parades, and the Pikeville Parade was canceled on Sunday, but it is rescheduled for this Saturday
Okay.
at 2 o'clock
This Saturday at 2 in Pikeville.
Yes.
That's in Pikeville.
in Pikeville.
That's why they call it the Pikeville Christmas Parade, right?
Yes. And then Eureka is on the 11th at 3.
The Eureka Christmas Parade is on the 11th
Yes.
at 3. You're sure it's not on the 3rd at 11?
No.
Just checking. You did good. You did good. Now, this Coffee with a Cop. Coffee with a Cop's coming up on the 8th, which is tomorrow morning at 8:30. Everybody meets at Krispy Kreme on East Ash Street for Coffee with a Cop. The mission is to break down the barriers between police officers and the citizens they serve. Community residents can sit down with officers and ask questions or share what's on their mind. In a short time, citizens and police officers get to know each other and discover mutual goals for the communities they live and serve, in which they live and serve. You're invited to join the Goldsboro Police Department for Coffee with a Cop. That's tomorrow morning beginning at 8:30 at Krispy Kreme at 2607 East Ash Street, Goldsboro. Oops.
It's okay.
Thank you. Let's do this. We're going to take a break. We'll go to our interview. And when we come back, we'll have more words. Can we have more words?
Yes.
We'll have more words when we come back after this break on Wayne Goldsboro Television.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Greetings, thanks for everyone for coming out tonight. My name is Marty Cheddar, the local history librarian. This program kicks off our Fall Agriculture Heritage Series. And as we were planning and thinking through this, on December 7th is the 75th anniversary of Pearl Harbor. It was a pretty significant event nationwide. And when I do my programs, I always like to think about the Wayne County perspective, the local experience, and how people are impacted by these big international events. So I figured this would be a good segue with the farming community or the agriculture community when you consider in 1940, over half of Wayne County by population was considered rural farm. So it's a big part of the populace of Wayne County was in the farming agriculture community. And it's what people's life experiences and how they're impacted. So this fall is what we're doing is tying in how these big international events were impacted by the Wayne County angle. Our presenter, Dr. Moore, he grew up in Central Texas, and he was active in the Future Farmers of America as a youth, and he graduated from Tarleton State University. He ends up teaching a few years agriculture education in high schools in Kansas and Ohio. Then he decided to go back to graduate school and earn 2 graduate degrees at Ohio State University in agriculture education. And he came to the North Carolina State University in 1989, where he works today. And his big area, or some of his research interests, are the history of agriculture and philosophy of agriculture education. So, Dr. Gary Moore. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're here tonight to have a conversation. So I'm going to be calling on you as we go along here. And you can see the title of the presentation there. I want you to look very, very carefully at that picture. If you had to date the picture, what date would you place on it?
1932.
And what was the basis for that?
Just the way that old tractor looked.
Okay.
With a metal wheel. Might be in the earlier.
I don't know. You're pretty close there. But this sort of represents one era in the state when we had horses and mules for farming. But then we have mechanization. So we'll see as we go along if we can place that tractor in a time spot. If we look at agriculture in the United States between 1910 and 2010, the green line is the number of people fed by one farmer. In 1910 in the United States, one farmer could feed 7 people. In 2010, one farmer could feed 154 people. And as you look at the trend line, after World War II, it just goes up tremendously. So I wonder why. Do you have any guesses as to why it goes up so dramatically? The baby boom. Well, there was a baby boom in there. So maybe we had more people farming. But the blue line is the number of people on the farm. In 1910 in the United States, about 38% of the population lived on farms. And by 2010, it's less than 2%. So the number of farmers decreased, but the agricultural production increased. And World War II happened in there. So we're going to try to figure out what was going on. So let's talk about agriculture in North Carolina before World War II. If we go back to 1900, the average farm has $131 worth of equipment and 4 horses or 4 mules. That was what the average farm had. And all of our farms were pretty small. We had lots and lots of farms, but they were very, very small. They grew a little corn or cotton or tobacco in the state. They had a few chickens and pigs, maybe a milk cow, and it's primarily subsistence farming. They were trying to support themselves, plus maybe a few others. And people farmed by the signs of the moon. What does that mean?
They followed the almanac.
Yeah, they followed the almanac. Right. And we need to, as we approach World War II, remember that 40% of the population in North Carolina still lived on farms at the start of World War II. So, young man, do you know about moon farming? Well, there are different seasons. However, the moon has several phases. One is called the light of the moon, the waxing moon, the dark of the moon, the waning moon. And early on in North Carolina, we farmed by the signs of the moon. There are certain things you're supposed to do in the light of the moon. That's when you do your plowing and you plant crops that grow above the ground. And the dark of the moon's when you cultivate, plant crops that grow below the ground. And there was all types of, I don't want to say superstition, but all types of beliefs on when to do things. Like digging post holes. Anybody ever dug a post hole? Okay. You'll notice when you dig a post hole on a certain side of the moon, you put the post in, you have a lot of dirt, you pack it down, and you have dirt left over. Other signs of the moon, you dig a post hole, put it in there, and you don't even have enough dirt to fill the hole back in, and it's wobbly and it doesn't set up right. Is that just the signs of the moon? Well, some people believe it is. There's a whole bunch of things that we know you're supposed to do at certain signs of the moon. You know, if you want to make rail fences, you cut them during the waning moon. And wooden shingles and shakes will lie flatter if cut during the dark of the moon. We castrate and dehorn animals when the moon is waning for less bleeding. I used to operate on cattle and sheep and goats. And you'd take the lamb and cut the tails off, and sometimes they'd bleed and sometimes they wouldn't bleed. So it has to do with signs of the moon, perhaps. I'm not saying yay or nay, but here are some things we do by the moon. And back in this era, we had lots of manual labor. You know, people would get out and cut down crops like that. As I was driving down here today, I saw these huge, massive combines getting the soybeans out of the field. But at one time, this is the way we did it in North Carolina, and this is how we did our farming. You know, we had the mules taking our equipment along, and then here's some folks putting up tobacco. You know, we had some pigs and chickens on most farms. So this was what it was like to farm in North Carolina before World War II. So let's talk about World War II. And America entered the war after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. That was on December the 7th, 1941, when Pearl Harbor was bombed. We declared war the next day, December the 8th, and I happened to be at Pearl Harbor this summer and got to visit all that. And the war ended in 1945. Germany surrendered, then Japan surrendered. So what we're going to talk about is some of the things going on in World War II and the impact it had on farming in North Carolina. So the first thing you need to know is at the start of World War II, we had 278,000 farms in North Carolina. However, many of them didn't have gardens. You'd think most farms would have gardens. Some didn't. And a lot of farms didn't have any hogs. Many didn't have any chickens. 98,000 had no milk cows. I don't know where they were getting their milk, but this was what was going on in 1940, right before we entered the war. One of the first things that happened after we entered the war was rationing. And in the spring of 1942, you know, we started in December of 41, rationing was implemented. Meats, butter, fat, oils, with some exceptions, cheeses were rationed. Canned, bottled, frozen foods, also clothing, shoes, coffee, gasoline, tires, fuel oil, those were all rationed. So how did you get those items? You had a ration book, huh? Yes, there was a complicated point system that was used with the rationing books. The very first item that was rationed was sugar. And they had War Ration Book number 1. They had little tickets on it, little stamps. And in order to buy sugar, you had to present your ration stamp. And it says right here, your sugar ration is 2 pounds per month. Why did we have a shortage of sugar? Oh, you would not have liked that. Well, a lot of people did not like that. Our sugar was coming from the Philippines, and when Japan entered the war, they took over that, so we couldn't get sugar. So, no, it was rationed. And so that was the very first thing that was rationed. And in your ration book, you had all these stamps. And some were green in color and some were blue in color. So certain colors could be used on certain items. And then you notice the A, B, C, D. You know, what's all the alphabet have to do with it? Well, you use the A and the B and the C in certain months. Then you use the D, the E, and the F in certain months. And then they had point values. So you'd put together the point values. So how many points do you think it would take to get something you might want to eat? So pick out something on this chart. How many points would it take? Now, if you had a sweet tooth for pineapple juice and you wanted to buy a big can, it took 32 points to get that. Now, if you liked soup, that was fairly inexpensive as way as points were going. Okay, well, what happens, you were giving so many stamps, and they were numbered A through Z, and you use those up in a year. So you'd use A, B, and C in 1 month, and then D, E, and F in the next month. Is the way it worked. And it says rationing means a fair share for all of us. So this is something good. Yes. With rationing, everybody gets taken care of. Without rationing, you have people hoarding stuff. And then the wife's pledge. I pledge to pay no more than top legal prices because there was a black market. So if you really like sugar, you'd go try to find somebody who could sell you more sugar. I accept no ration goods without giving up ration stamps. So you're a patriot if you do that. And if we had all types of time tonight, there's a real neat 10-minute film that the government put out about rationing and how good it was and how we should do rationing. And it's a pretty nice propaganda film. And then they had directions. How does all this work? The blue stamps are for any kind of can or bottle of fruits and vegetables. And the stamp in the books are point stamps. The number of each stamp shows you how many points it's worth. That stamp there is worth 5 points. The only blue A, B, and C stamps can be used in the first period. So they had all these rules and regulations that you were supposed to figure out. And we had gasoline rationing. Now we hear about the oil pipeline in Alabama. And a few months ago we had problems getting gas. Well, it may be back. But we had gasoline rationing. We implemented a national 35-mile-per-hour speed limit. And that really wasn't to conserve gas. It was to conserve the rubber on the tires was what it was really for. But you could get enough gas to go to work and back, basically, is what you had. So we had gas rationing. Then we had these war ration books. The first one just covered sugar. Then we started rationing more stuff. So the second one covered more stuff. Then we had war ration book number 3. And you noticed you had to put your age on it, and your sex, and your weight, and your height. Why would you put that on your ration book? Yes. Yeah, they didn't want voter fraud. No, they didn't want food fraud. Yeah, they didn't want somebody taking somebody else's book and going in there. And then here's war ration book number 4. So we had a cavalcade of rationing books. So how does this all get to agriculture? Well, we had it's sort of hard to ration meat, but they rationed meat. You've heard the Arby's commercials probably, we have the meats. Well, back then they would not have the meats. And here the government was saying, here's how much meat you should have. And it took a lot of points to get meat on there. So we had to put up with... Oh, they did it within 6 months. Well, rationing never really got started in World War I because we entered World War I at the very end of it, is when we entered. There was a Gallup poll done in 1943 and it asked Americans, do you understand how the food point rationing system works? No, 53% of the men said yeah, 76% of the women said yeah. Why do you think that was? Were the women just that much smarter? Yeah. Yeah, they had to do the shopping, so they had to figure out how to get the rations. Oh, well, that was later on. Much later on till we had coupons. So, what is the solution to all this if they're going to ration vegetables and canned goods and that type of stuff? Well, let's grow our own. So we started a victory garden campaign. Everybody needs to plant a victory garden to help grow food, to use at home, so we can also send food to the sailors. And you are encouraged to do your canning, put food up in cans. And if you can, you got special sugar coupons for home canning and making preserves. 2 pounds. A month. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you notice over on here on the wall, over here, there's a canning demonstration going on. So this point in time, we were encouraging people to start canning and start growing victory gardens. And I believe you said you had a victory garden. Tell us about the victory garden.
I don't know too much about it, except my daughter and I remember living in
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it was a huge, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. What happens with the increase in push to can? A lot of schools started canneries. And by the end of World War II, there were 3,800 school and community canneries across the United States. And many were operated by the agriculture department in the local high schools. Here in North Carolina, we had 40 school canneries. And the people would grow the produce, bring it into the school, and they would use the facilities to can the food. And none of these exist today. However, in Georgia, after the war, they went to shut them down and the people wouldn't let them. No, we like this so much, keep it going. And so today in Georgia, you can go in Georgia and go to a high school agriculture program and see canneries in operation. There's a few still in Louisiana, and this one here is up in Virginia. And it's still operating today, a community cannery. And so that was a pretty neat program.
These would have been like high school canneries?
Yeah, they were operated out of a high school. I don't know. Yeah, I would like to do some research. I know there was one in Cary. I live in Cary. I know there was one over at Catawba. And I know there was some out in the east because I was talking to a guy before he retired where the boiler in his school blew up that operated the cannery. So he had to go to another school that had shut their cannery down and steal or borrow or use their boiler. And it was someplace here in the east, and I don't know where. So now this is something that would be a good research project to figure out where those are. I'm sure it's documented.
Right here in Wayne County, Grantham High School, where I went, had one.
Grantham High School, okay?
However, I think it was after the war was over.
Okay,
Now, it may have been a carryover because I was too young to remember it right here.
okay.
But we were canning food at the Grantham Cannery in 1948.
Well, it's neat. I was hoping somebody would be here who had actually had experienced one of the school canneries. So, yeah. Yeah, but I would guess there would be some in this part of the state because of the agriculture in this part of the state. It would make sense. And I visited a school cannery in Georgia 2 years ago, and they have now added butchering to it. And you can cut up meat there. So that was a part of the effort to win the war by having people preserve the food. Now, if we look at farm income during World War II, at the start, the cash income on a farm was $4.4 billion. The net income from a farmer rose from $700 to $2,000. So how did that happen? Well, people needed to eat. We needed to send food over. And that was coming in to it. But the next slide will explain some of this. There were all types of rules and regulations. And one is, what were the prices? Well, Congress had all types of programs. They had an Office of Price Administration that set the prices farmers would receive. So it wasn't a free market type of stuff, but the prices were pretty good. And so farmers were making money because of the prices that were set. Now, there was one thing that was tried to happen here in Wayne County that did not happen. The Army said they would like to buy dehydrated cabbage. Now, I don't know why anybody would want dehydrated cabbage, but they wanted dehydrated cabbage, and they set up an experimental plant in Mount Airy and also one in this county. But the government wouldn't pay enough money to make it worthwhile, so the farmers didn't grow the cabbage to have it dehydrated. But we had the War Food Administration, the War Manpower Commission handled labor concerns. If you wanted to ship products, you had to get approval from the Office of Defense Transportation. If you wanted to buy a tractor, you had to deal with the War Production Board. So you had all these different groups that you had to deal with to carry on everyday life. And I thought this was pretty good. They set prices. Well, I don't know if y'all had any experience over here with the hurricane about prices being escalated dramatically. So they didn't want that to happen during the war.
This is Wayne Goldsboro Television on this Wednesday morning. It is the 7th of December, December 7th. And tomorrow, the Wayne County Chamber of Commerce will have their holiday mixer. That's tomorrow evening, beginning at 5:30 at 308 North William Street at the Chamber office, right?
Yes.
And everybody's invited to attend, whether you're a Chamber member or not. And if you're not a Chamber member, please think about joining, because that's why you want to go to this thing, right? I knew that. Okay, Blue Angels coming to the next air show at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. That's May 20th and 21st. I hope you're able to be there. We'll talk a whole lot about that, and we'll have some personnel on from the base to talk about that as well. Today's trivia question. No, what's special about today? Oh, here we go. What is today? Today's the 7th. Today is National Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. This is also International Civil Aviation Day, as opposed to Uncivil Aviation Day. It's also National Cotton Candy Day. You like cotton candy?
Sure.
Do you really?
Yeah.
It's
It's made of sugar.
It's okay. It's also Special Kids Day. All right, that's what's special about today. Today's trivia question has a Christmas theme. Everyone knows Christmas Day is a national holiday. It was a national holiday. It is a national holiday for all of the U.S. of A. Each state had to declare Christmas a holiday in each state before it became a national holiday. What was the last state? What was the last state to declare Christmas a legal holiday? I know you take a lot for granted when it comes to Christmas, sure. But to get to this point, everybody had to approve it. And There you go. So of all the 50 states, and I'll give you a clue, not all 50 states, we didn't have 50 states when the last state declared Christmas a holiday. But anyway, don't worry about that. Name the state that was the last state to declare Christmas a legal holiday. And we'll have the answer for that question coming up in the next segment of the program, and that will be along right after we have our next interview on Wayne Goldsboro Television. Today we're joined by Corporal Jason Adams of the Goldsboro Police Department, and we're here to get a Crime Stoppers report. Jason, how are you, sir?
Doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Corporal, let's find out what's going on. Where are the bad guys and who are they and what do we need to do?
Well, today we're going to be talking about a open homicide from 2015.
Oh, okay.
So we're needing the public's help. Investigators are trying to go through all the leads that they've got, but they're needing the public's assistance.
Yeah.
This happened on August 8th, 2015, about 12:30 a.m. over in the area of 800 Argo Street, and two gentlemen were shot while in their vehicle, and one actually succumbed to his injuries and died on scene.
Okay.
His name is Tyrone Jones. He was 25 years old, and the other victim was Robert Cole, 21 years old. He did survive, was treated at Wayne Memorial Hospital at the time, and has been released since then.
Is this what they call a cold case?
It is, I would
It's
say,
lukewarm, perhaps. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah, because it's just barely a year old.
Correct.
And so this was just after midnight on August 8th
Yes.
of last year.
Correct. So just a little over a year.
Yeah.
And so we're just really needing some more information
Now,
come in.
do you go back and pull out cases like this from time to time?
Well, this one's been an open case. The investigator's still working it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been put aside or anything like that. He's still actively working it,
Yeah.
still working those leads
Yeah.
and talking to people. It's just kind of got at a part where we need this public's assistance.
I think people may not understand that regardless of how small the information may be, that it may actually be the final part of the puzzle.
Correct. One of the big things is any information we get, we follow up on.
Yeah.
So no matter how small it is, or that person may think, it does actually get followed up on.
So if someone has information on Argo Street, what area is that?
So that's going to be the area right there at the railroad tracks of Herman, Wayne Memorial, and Royal, that area.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
So at that intersection area. So.
Okay, Argo Street. Okay, I know about where it is.
Correct.
So anyone with information, they have several ways they can get this information to you. But now the important
Correct.
thing is that you don't know who they are. You don't know
Correct.
who's giving this information.
Yeah, they can call Crime Stoppers at our Crime Stoppers number, which is 919-735-2255, or they can actually text it and remain anonymous that way as well. And that number is 919-222-4230.
All right. 919-222-4230 and 919-735-2255, voice or text.
Yes.
And again, the important thing is that the caller remains anonymous.
Correct.
You have no idea who they are. You don't want to know who they are.
No, we
In
don't.
fact, that saves a lot of
Correct.
things, a lot of problems, a lot of
concerns
down
that the
road.
citizens might have, and
Exactly.
retaliation or anything like that if
Yeah.
they do come forward. It's a way to keep them anonymous so that they don't have to worry about that.
This is, of course, a federal felony.
It is a
and,
felony, yes.
Capital crime, so a reward is being offered
It is.
from Crime Stoppers.
Correct.
Now, can you tell me from where this reward money comes? Where does it come from?
Actually, it's coming from donations that are given to Crime Stoppers. They're through businesses or other people in the community that comes in, and it's 100% through donations and everything. It's a nonprofit as well.
And I think the important part here is that no tax dollars are being used for this. No tax dollars are
Correct.
used in reward money for Crime Stoppers.
No.
All right. So Corporal Jason Adams is with Goldsboro Police Department bringing us the Crime Stoppers report today, and I thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. We're back on Wayne Goldsboro Television. Thank you for being with us. We don't need that, do we? Ta-da. That's how you get rid of paper. You throw it away. Senior Center will be closed for the holidays, as will all county offices. In fact, we'll be closed Friday the 23rd, Monday the 26th, and Tuesday the 27th. Christmas falls on Sunday this year. So Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, the 23rd through the 27th, all county offices will be closed. It's going to be, this is today, isn't it? Wednesday, today, December 7th, County Services on Aging and Goldsboro Parks and Recreation Department partnering to offer Christmas open house at the Peggy Seeger Senior Center on East Ash Street. That is today. In fact, it doesn't start till 2 o'clock this afternoon. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. DJ Wildheart will be performing. That will be Robin. Will be at the Senior Center performing. The Songbirds Choir will perform. And you can join for a sing-along and play games, have a great time. Light refreshments will be served. If you want more information, call Stacia Fields. Staccia's with the Goldsboro Parks and Recreation Department. And she is at 739-7486. 739-7486. And a reminder that on December 20th, Gentiva will be at the Senior Center to offer blood pressure checks free of charge to seniors. All right? Excellent. Here's the answer to our trivia question for today. And which state was the last state in the U.S. to declare Christmas a legal holiday and thereby making all the states making it a federal holiday, a legal holiday in the U.S. of A? What was the last state? The year was 1860. Of course, we didn't have all our states at that time that we have now, but still, all the states had approved making the U.S. Christmas Day a legal holiday in the U.S., and that state was Oklahoma, where the wind comes rolling down the plain. Oh, yeah. Speaking of plane, we got to go. We're going to take that plane out of here, and we'll be back in here tomorrow, which is another day. It's not today, it's another day. In fact, this program will repeat at noon and then again at 5:30 p.m., so join us at that time. So until tomorrow, I'm Wayne Alley.
And I'm Pat Garner.
And this is Wayne Goldsboro Television.